And here is the underside of my 76 Porsche 914. And you can see a little bit of a oil leak right here. That speedometer drive needs a new O-ring. And looks like I have a little drip right there at the needs a new O-ring on the shaft going into the shifter. And what else do I have? Oh, here's the starter, and you can see that I added a relay to it. And I also have a separate starter switch on the dash, separate from the keyed switch, completely separate. Those keyed switches go out and give you all kinds of problems, and the new ones are cheap, so they break just as much. So I put a separate switch just in case. And you can see the rear sway bar. The heaters, mufflers are intact and work just fine. The engine is basically dry. Looks like I got a drip around the oil pan there, the oil drain. And you can see a little bit of a drip forming there on the front too. And there's the oil temperature sender. And what else is of interest down here? I don't know. It's relatively clean because, I don't know, a month or two ago I cleaned it up. Every year you need to get under these things and clean them up real good. You can see the air deflectors are in place. This is an original car basically that I've had repainted and changed the bumpers on. The emergency brakes work. I rebuilt the engine myself. I put a counterweighted crank in it, and not really completely necessary. I don't ever get high revs with this thing. It's just been a cruiser for me. But I felt like it was a lot smoother. You can see the floor pan is intact and not rusted. And if I had a lift, I'd clean all that up, but I don't have a lift. And that's one thing that's a good investment. The engine, I put a Raby 9550 cam kit in it with steel push rods, so the valve lash, when you adjust it, should be to 0. Let's see, here's a horn. Horns work, both of them, and no rust there. No rust on the floor pan. It's all intact. I put new jugs, piston assemblies in it from AA. They were assemblies. The pistons all weighed out nicely. Here's another horn. One cylinder was just a couple of thousandths taller than the other cylinder. So I took it to my local friendly machine shop and had him cut it down. He looked at me like I was crazy. He says, "That's got aluminum heads, it'll draw down." And I said, "Would you please cut it down anyway? My heads were done by Len Hoffman, and his tolerances are to 10,000ths of an inch." And the guy looked at me like I was crazy, but he cut it down anyway. And I said, "Thank you very much." The heads are the original heads. Len Hoffman at Hoffman Automotive checked them out and said, yeah, he'll rebuild them. They were in good enough shape, he wasn't worried about them at all. And here's the other side. The displacement is stock 2 liters. I did put a electronic ignition in it, electronic points. Somehow I can't think of the name, but it's the common one that you always see and hear about. I ran through a couple of different sets of points over time, and I had points wear out on me in a matter of 1,000 miles. The cam follower wears down quickly. I thought, oh, heck with this. So I bought some electronic points, and they seem to work great. They say it doesn't hurt to carry a set of spare with you, because the electronics ones will break down on you too, but so far I've been alright. Anyway, that's another view of my 76 Creamsicle Wannabe. It's been a lot of fun to drive, and I hope somebody has a lot of fun with it. It has plenty of power, gets 30 plus miles to a gallon on the highway. I've made most of my trips from Oklahoma down to Mississippi and up to Michigan and out to Colorado, out to Arizona. It's been a heck of a drive. So, my next video will take it for a ride.